Alrighty, guys. I'm Stu. I know stuff about gyms and stuff, but I've been doing this, the podcast and all that. Some of you guys might know me, some of you might not, but I think you're going to like what we're going to talk about today. Are they lazy or am I an asshole? The hardest thing about the gym, it's not the clients, it's the staff. You will have thousands and thousands of clients. You might, in your entire career, have 50 people work for you. Right? It's the thing you are the least skilled at. You're really good at whatever the fuck with a kettlebell. You are the least skilled at leading a team. Short of you having some kind of corporate gig prior, maybe some experience, most of us in the small business world, dealing with the complex nature and fickle nature of humans is the thing we suck the most at. Communication, we suck the most at. Firing, which we'll talk about later today, we suck at. It's going to be the number one reason you have the headaches that you do. The inability or the lack of desire to have hard conversations. And my goal today is, as we go through this, hopefully you guys just walk away with a better idea and a better framework as to how to communicate with your staff, create expectations, get them to meet those expectations so that you don't dread going into work. And it's like, fuck, I hate that bitch. But she coaches a great class. We've had some conversations like that yesterday. I've got someone who's good at this, but they suck at that. You ever have an employee and you're like jaded? You don't even want to walk into the building that you pay rent for in your business because that motherfucker drives you nuts? Why are they there? But is it them or is it you? And hopefully we get a little bit of a framework for that today. So people are the foundation. I get the opportunity to look at P&Ls and financial statements of gyms that do, they can do $100,000 a month. Great. Pop the hood. It's a fucking disaster. Nobody knows who reports to who. There's no hierarchy of where they can ascend, right? You start losing them to other gyms because there's maybe more of a, vertical momentum and opportunity at another gym. But they make a lot of money. But the gym owner's miserable. And it's generally because the team around them is not cohesive. The best is like, if you've ever think back to when you were on a sports team, or if you've ever had a moment where you just had a core group at your gym, employees, it's going to work is fun. Like everybody pulls in the right direction, everybody knows what's going on, and they're all on the same page. So if you don't have the foundation, again, one thing I'd say is fuck the retention of your customers. There's another Sally down the street. She'll sign up tomorrow. A really good GM, that's fucking rare. You will sign up another person next day. It's the retention of your staff and the people, like whatever you believe is like, the pillars of business and marketing and sales or whatever the fuck gets you the money. The people are the foundation. Without that, like if you don't get good at dealing with people, you're fucked. Not the customers. You guys are great at that. It's the employees. And I get it, it's hard. Like, well, how do I get quality people at $35 an hour? How many people want to be a professional metabolic trainer for the rest of their life? I get these are positions that we generally are getting them in a season of their life. There's one GM. Anyone here have two GMs in a single location? That wouldn't make much fucking sense. So if I'm a lead trainer, what's my hope? That the GM gets fired. Where else would I go? What else would I do? I understand it's difficult with a tight org chart to create incentives and pay people. Is there anyone who's like, man, I cannot wait to make $65,000 being a coach and waking up at 4 a.m? It's a moment in time for a lot of us in that career path. But if we can communicate with our team better, okay? That transition of those people coming in and out of your business. Who here, anyone have an idea what anyone here, lifetime client value? Anyone here know what their average lifetime client value is? Whatever, yeah. 133? So let's do lifetime client. So how much are worth to you on a lifetime? Let's pretend someone here knew that number. They're $2,800. Cool, $2,800. What is the average length of employment for your core employee?
I'd say probably 8 months.
Okay, and that's not bad and that's not good. But he identifies that, he knows that. It's like, okay, my core employee who I'm chasing is this 8-month period. It's kind of hard to find rock stars if we're, transitioning people out every 8 months. But that's, maybe the market you're in. It's a high churn market. It's a transitioning market. We need to make sure that when we are laying this out, expectations for our team are clear. 2 ways. Every role, whenever I do like an org chart, I will go ahead and I'll break down what does the business expect of the role. So let's say that's the lead trainer, and let's say that's what you expect. Those are your expectations of that role. Not of that person, but of the role. The business is built on roles. It's not built on Tina and Sally. It's built on these roles. Tina and Sally might occupy those roles for a period of time. But what can they expect? Generally stuff like that. And when we understand our expectations both ways, the business will run smoother. You will have less HR headaches, okay? Now, one of the things I get constantly is, anyone here I like to give my employees a little bit of freedom, right? I like for them to, be a little loose. I don't want to tell them exactly how to do it. I don't want this to feel like a robot. We do that a little bit too much. We're entrepreneurs. We don't like being put into a box. We like calling our own shots. We like figuring it out. Too often it's like, hey, so come here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do an organic marketing strategy. That Stu guy, he said, go out and do, food halls and farmers markets and partner with Lululemon. We're going to go do that. I want you to run with it. It's like, well, what the fuck does that mean? You want me to run with it? What does that mean? And you're just like, yeah, go do it. You'll figure it out. They're not an entrepreneur. That's why they work for you. Too often we think of them like, oh no, it's like they're going to run with it. They're creative. And if you have those people, hold on to them. If they have entrepreneurial tendencies, but they're not. They like structure. They want you to train and develop them. They need to be put into a box with things. Give them room to make it their own. It's very like when you start coaching. Anyone here, when they started coaching, said everything like how Kirk taught it to you, like Kirkisms? You literally parroted what he said when you were training, and then you made it your own. Everyone does that. You want to make sure to give them enough structure that they can be successful in what they do. But too often, I think, and too early on, I want this to be like a fun place to work. I don't want to be full of a bunch of rules. So I give them a little leeway. It's one of the worst things you could do, especially early on. Don't set high expectations for each role and then allow exceptions for each person. So if I'm got a client and they're griping about some HR stuff, it's always due to exceptions that they allowed for the role. Yeah, I know. I tell them I want them here 20 minutes before the start of every class. What's the problem? Well, they get here like 10 minutes before the start of every class. Oh, and they know that they need to be here 20 minutes before the start of every class? Yeah. And how long has this been going on? Oh, months. And why are they still working for you? I mean, anyone here have someone who just continuously does not do exactly as you've laid out, this is how I want it done, and you just kind of let it slide? Like, they don't wear the appropriate shirt, or they don't show up when they need to, or they miss that meeting, or they don't do the one email thing or the thing in the CRM, and you let it slide. You allow that behavior perpetuates, it continues. You guys do culture really well within the membership. If you're having HR issues, it's because you haven't done the culture really well within the team. If you do X, then you go bye-bye. Real simple. If you do X, then you go bye-bye. I had a 3-strike rule. If on the third time I had to tell you this, you had the same infraction. On the third time you did it, you're gone. It's like, it's not even a conversation. You just know. First one, mulligan. Second one, you're on thin ice, mulligan. The third is the last one. And that was always understood. Anyone here have a coach no show for that first class in the morning, or you've done it yourself, overslept, whatever it is? That was one. I still have my 3-strike rule though, right? But that's, on that third one, just leave your shit at the door. That's how it goes. But we can't create these high expectations and design these roles and build out the systems and all that. And then, she'll get it next time, or I'm not going to have that. Anyone here have meetings like this, like infraction meetings when someone fucks up or documents it? Okay, we'll talk about that. All right. So how to ensure that your expectations are met? Because that's all it is. That's all it is. Here's an expectation I have of you in this role. Can you meet it? Great, cool, you're hired. Here's the expectations you have of me. But in order for them to meet, I'm not going to review the GWC. Mike did a really good job of that on Monday, or yesterday. And we'll go with the 5 levels of problem solving to figure out, do I have the right person in the right role? Is anyone here conscious, and if they're with you, you don't have to raise your hand, but does anyone here know right now, I've got somebody and they're not in the right role after like what Mike talked about yesterday? Like right now it's in your head, you're like, yeah, but they're a place filler. We were talking about that the other day. It's like, they're good enough for right now. Does anyone have that person? Just someone on there? No, you don't. Everyone is fucking 100% stellar. Okay, cool. We're going to play that game. All right, guys. Absolutely. Nobody wants to admit to it, but you do. You've got people in your team that realistically, you wish you had someone different. And you don't know, is it something I have to develop in them and I have to train them? I need to read more books, listen to more podcasts, or they just maybe not the right fit. So when we go ahead and look at this, is why is that person not meeting the roles expectations? We'll go into who fucked up flow chart. I'll take you to that. And then with this idea of pictures and words, all right? So GWC, I'm not going to harp on this, but that is my favorite thing I always did. 1 to 5, GWC. So in performance reviews and in the last stage of my interview process, 1 to 5, do they get it? 1 at capacity to do it. My GM, she was a fucking gem. I remember I had to fire our cleaning company. So we had maybe like a 4-week period where I had no commercial cleaning in the gym. And I had a Bulldog scrubber, it was a CrossFit gym, 7,000 square feet. And I remember telling Isaac, I will pay you $5,000 this month to clean the gym floors. She looked at me like without missing a beat, dead in the eyes. She goes, there's not enough money in this fucking world for me to clean this gym. I don't want to do it. She was in the hotel business prior. She always got stuck having it. She just did not want to do it. She didn't want to do it. What if I made her? If I said, do it or you're fired. What type of job do you think, how good of a job would she do? One of my biggest things was the W is the most important. If they don't want to do the work, you're going to get a shit product. Well, Stu, nobody wants to do X, Y, or Z. Understood. I get it. There's definitely aspects of every role in your org chart that are overly enjoyable. But to 95+% of it, they gotta genuinely want to do it. Does anyone here have a staff member who does sales, but they don't like doing the cold calls, they don't like doing the lead nurture, they don't generally like the sales? So why are they selling? Because you've asked them to. But they don't want to do it. Do they have the capacity to do it? Yes. They're good at it. Okay. So they don't want to do it. They will do it. In an identical person who wants to do it and gets off on cold calling, like loves closing deals, because I was that person, do you think that you would have a better outcome and a higher sales closing rate, you'd make more money, all that? Yeah. And that's fine to say, hey, he doesn't want to do it. Are you currently interviewing for his replacement? I would. They're out there. You guys know sales is like the most common profession in the world. People are out there sell shit. I used to go into the mall. You know those guys that when you walk by, they're selling you some kind of foot powder or cologne? You know, you walk by and you're like, hey, can I ask you a question? Like, you just did, asshole, and you just keep going. Those dudes are hustlers. I would hire them as membership GMs at the health clubs I'd work with. Those guys could sell anything to anybody. There are people that are generally really good at sales, and it's not that they're sleazy salespeople. They're just really good at fucking talking. They love the hustle of seeing a lead sheet and it going from, Blake and I'm talking from yellow to green. They get off on it. So do you have the right person in the right role? And if you don't, they're just like, I just don't. Okay. I mean, I guess that's good enough. Why not work? And we'll talk about like this idea of always be recruiting and finding someone. There is someone out there just like that person. Loves the coach, all that shit, but they actually want to do sales. All right, the 5 types of problem solvers. So this should hit. All right, so you come into the gym. Coach Sally's like, yeah, we're out of toilet paper. And you're staring at her like, is that it? There's not like and I went out and got some? Or, and I put it on the Amazon? No, we're just out of it. Okay, yep, that's, okay, fair enough. Level 1. Doesn't recognize the problem, and even if they did, they don't know how to solve it. Does anyone have anyone level 1 on their team currently? Oh, you fuckers do. You just don't want to raise your hand. Level 2, identifies the problem but doesn't know the solution. Hey man, Stu, like our classes aren't that full. Like my noon class used to be real full, now it's not. But yeah, I noticed that too. So like, what are we going to do about that? And again, is he the owner of the business? No. Do I want someone maybe in that role, especially if he's my GM and one of the expectations is to help with the growth strategy, for him to have a fucking idea, a suggestion, have a podcast I should listen to? So identifies a problem but doesn't know the solution. Identifies the problem, has considered several solutions, but they get paralysis by now. They don't know what to do, which is why they don't own their own gym. They can't make the hard decisions, and they bring them to you. Level 3 is not bad. Level 3 is actually really valuable for most businesses to have at least one person, okay? Level 4, decides on the solution, brings you a plan of action. Anyone get I remember this may be the happiest. I get a really long email. My assistant GM, his name was Deuce. The kid would smoke a ton of weed and take his Adderall, and he would come up with some of the best ideas we ever had. If I got an email from Deuce at 5 a.m. in the morning, I'm like, oh, this dude didn't go to sleep. He was high as shit, but he would have great ideas. I got so excited when I'd get these insane emails, bullet points and drawings, and like, they were great. We implemented many of them. I love that. Otherwise, I didn't get shit from him like that. But when I got a level 4 type activity from where he proposed it, I was like, fuck, why can't I have this all the time? Level 4 is what we should hopefully like, and depending on your ownership style, whether you like people to run with an idea, which would be level 5, or you like to approve everything, is up to you. But if you have anyone on that level 1, level 2 working for you, why? I don't want to LinkedIn and Indeed and interview and fire. It's just laziness. You bust your ass on so much other shit. It's the HR thing we get so lazy on because it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. We'll talk about firing here in a second. Did I do everything possible to make them successful? All right, so the who fucked up flowchart. Someone fucks up no matter what it is. They either didn't know you wanted it done. You got to ask them, did they know I wanted them to show up 20 minutes before the start of the class? Yes or no? Okay? If they did, they didn't know how to do it. Is that accurate? No, they know how to tell time. They know how to be here 20 minutes before the start of class. Cool. They know how to do it, but they fall short of the expectations, are inconsistent with the results. All the way down here. Now, there are some times, like that one, hey, I'm going to make you my marketing manager. And you're like, oh, cool. Do I get paid more? Like, no, not really, but you're going to be the new marketing manager for the studio. Okay, cool. So what are we going to do? You're going to call it like Lululemon and apartment complexes. We're going to get like this really good ground game organically going and blah, blah, blah. You listen to this podcast and I want you to help me out with the, organic marketing. Well, they know what you want that you want it done, but they don't know what the fuck they're doing. You're just assuming because they have a TikTok that they know how to do marketing, right? They didn't know how to do it. And often, especially when we're trying to keep a lot of things in-house versus doing an outsourced to a digital marketing firm or whatever, we give these roles and tasks to people that they have fucking no business doing. Do you know how hard it is to do digital marketing? Like, it's not easy. It's not like, I was laughing with can we do just for 1 month? And I was like, dude, he's like, sure, I can know exactly how they wanted to answer. Like, how much work goes in to creating an ad and getting awareness and letting it hit saturation and watching the CPRs? No, you can't do it for a fucking month. But that's why you give it to someone else. Because we often task or action our employees with shit they don't have any business doing. Now, if they don't know you want it done, you generally just maybe fucked up in your onboarding. You don't again, there's sometimes we kind of trial by fire. We're like, yeah, they'll figure it out. And that works. Like, there's occasions when that's practical. But if you have the time, obviously everyone should know everything that you expect them to do. Otherwise, you can't expect it of them. If they don't know how to do it, they just need more practice, right? So like the sales scenario here, they don't want to do it, but they're good at it, right? So if he was like, well, they really want to do it, he just sucks. Horrible eye contact, sounds like Pee Wee Herman, he's just not good at sales. Well, okay, could more reps and practice get him there? And they know how to do it, but they fall short. The performance isn't good. Anyone here just fire someone just based on performance only? You're not good at a thing. No? Holy fuck. No one here has ever fired anybody because they had low performance. Okay, did I speak Chinese earlier? Did I ask the wrong thing? Full extension, you lazy fucks. Why? Why? What was the performance issue?
Didn't listen to instructions, expectations.
Okay, so that's okay. So I'm talking like performance issue, like they do something, they just don't do it good.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, yes. Understood like what expectations were, tried to do it that way, but just like we're not good at it.
Okay, what was the role?
They were training.
And what was the performance issue?
That they were not giving one-on-one correction correctly, not
okay, fair enough.
Touches correctly.
Anyone here have a GM and you have a set of sales goal for them? Raise your hand if your GM hits their goal all the time. Have you ever fired a GM because they didn't hit a sales goal? You know what happens in companies that fire people that don't hit sales goals? They find fuckers who hit sales goals. And people know heads roll when you don't hit sales goals. And they make a lot more money. This idea of like, my GM, the number one thing I want him to be Mr. and Mrs. MADabolic, I want him to grow sales. Cool. You got sales goals for them? Yep. How often do they hit them? Rarely ever. Move on to the next one. Like, why do we still have that person there? Pictures and words. You ever think something, and like, I was using this example yesterday talking to someone, like, your significant other comes in, right? And it's like, so what do you think of this dress? And you're like, it's nice, cool, awesome. What she might have really meant was, hey, this is different than what I normally wear. I spent a lot of money and I'm kind of self-conscious on it, and I'm going to your MADabolic event tonight, and I really need some confidence here. That's maybe what she was thinking. That's not what she said, right? Words came out of, what do you think of this dress? Often we think a ton of shit, we don't say it to the employee, all right? Pictures and words. We picture something in our head. Well, oh, when I told them they're gonna be the marketing manager, I pictured them going and DMing every new follower we get on Instagram. I picture them going to Lululemon, Athleta, and Warby Parker to set up off-sites. I picture that, but we didn't explicitly set that expectation. And then we're like, well, do I have to babysit them? Yeah, motherfucker. Yeah, you do. It is management. You task them with a role in which you did not lay out a game plan for. Why are your trainers the best? Would we agree that you guys maybe even over-engineer, like you guys take it so seriously how technical and good a trainer is on the floor? You send them to Charlotte, North Carolina to get trained by the co-founder. Would we agree like you guys are really good at training? Would we agree that maybe that same level and degree of emphasis on sales or marketing or the other things that are really important in the business, we aren't as serious on? We don't spend as much time technically chasing it? Last time I checked, no one ever, had a bad sales month because they were externally rotated in their Turkish get-up. But you did because you didn't fucking attract and convert, market and sell. So why don't we spend more time on those things? Man, I really wish I just had someone who did this, and this. Put it down on a piece of paper. Say it to the person. I can't do it. Cool. Find someone who can. Does anyone here hate hiring? Just hate hiring? I do too. We'll talk about it. Pictures and words. So you might picture this. They're going to the gym on Monday, and I want them to log into CRM and look up, who leads that came in and reach out to people and, see what our open rates were on the email. And then I want them to create a plan for next week's email. And I want to do this. We think all that, like that's what we pictured, and that's what we text our GM. And make sure you hit those leads on Monday when you get in. We pictured all of this. And then does that get done? No. And then we get frustrated. And now you're having to babysit. It's not technically babysitting if you didn't tell them what the fuck you wanted them to do. Be explicitly clear. If you were going to over-communicate with anybody, it should be like your significant other and your number one, your GM, like that ride or die. That person in your business that is the most influential. By the way, you guys founded the business. You will not grow it. Not a single one of you, maybe besides the GMs here, will grow the business. You'll hire the people that grow it. The second you signed that franchise agreement and you signed that lease and you hired people, you instantly became talent recruitment. Being able to identify red flags in people, recruit and bring in people and develop them to do what you want to do. You're not going to grow the business. This is not a one-man show. You have got to understand that creating the team is the only thing that makes you whatever amount of zeros you want. And in order to create a team that works, you have to say exactly what's on your mind. I'm brass, I swear, but everyone who worked for me understood exactly what I wanted because I would over-communicate. And guess what? Some people didn't like that. And guess what? They didn't work there. So instead of, Monday, lead, nurture, give, Mike talked about SMART, specific, measurable, blah. I just like the three: specific, measurable, and time-based. If you just do those three, you'll cover everything. Specific, what do you want? How can I measure? No, you did it. So how would you know that they followed up with those leads? You're able to look in your CRM and I'm able to see that this got done. Or CC me on that email. You got to have a way to check. But I don't want to babysit. Again, get over that. You will have to babysit people for a while. It's called management. We're not able to hire batteries included. Everyone's like, man, I just wish they would come in just awesome at sales, know how to market, be a great coach, be good looking, not have any kids, not be married, so I don't have to worry about their fucking schedule. Cool. Pay someone $100,000 a year, and you could do that. We're not in the business of being able to afford what we want, these batteries included employees. All right, always be recruiting. Who here currently is hiring? Raise your hand if you're hiring currently. Okay, do you currently have ads out? Some platform. Raise your hand here if you're not hiring. Okay, you should still be recruiting. You're always recruiting even though you're not hiring. Anyone here get like an email, phone call, coach calls you in and say, hey, we need to talk. My husband got a new job. We're moving to Spokane, Washington. You're like, fuck me. She was awesome. Fuck her husband. Hope he dies, right? In 1 second, that GM, that top performer, the best coach you had, whoever it is gone. Remember I was talking about the retention of great employees? That's the most important thing, not the retention of clients. You have always got to be recruiting. You guys need to create a core employee profile. What age? What problem does a lead trainer, by you hiring him, what problem does that solve? Like, who are you hiring? It wasn't fucking rhetorical.
Lead trainer?
Yeah, lead trainer. So like when you guys are offering jobs for people, who is that core customer or core employee for a lead trainer? Where are they at in life? You know, Brandon's got the psychographics on all your customers. Think about who are you hiring? Who becomes a lead trainer?
Kid-free.
Kid-free?
Yeah.
They could work early mornings, weekends.
Awesome, yep. Very wide, broad schedule. That's a very certain person.
They live very close to the studio.
Proximity. What else? Was that? Social.
Alpha mentality.
Alpha mentality. You guys, you got it. You got to start creating who is that core employee profile so that when you're vetting resumes, when you're doing interviews, it is a much faster process. You know exactly what problem do you solve for them at that stage in their life. Anyone knows that they have trainers that are just kind of like figuring out or just side money for them while they, post-college, they're kind of figuring out the thing? That's a great problem to solve for someone. If you know that's my sweet spot. I hire people right out of college, right before they get engaged and get serious with life, or they take on that full-time big boy job. That's my sweet spot. Awesome. You guys want to create this just like you would for your customers. Because then if you look and you create that and then you look at your team, guarantee not everybody matches that. And then you're like, oh, yeah, it does make sense because Tina's fucking 43 with 4 kids. She can never work weekends. Not even never wants to work the holidays. Never can make the meetings. She doesn't fit my core employee profile. Always be recruiting, blah, blah, blah. All right, but here's the number one reason, I mentioned it earlier, why you guys consistently have HR issues, okay? Because you won't fire anybody. You won't fire anybody because you're afraid to have hard conversations, all right? Adam. Come up here, please. All right. Yep, you got it, buddy. Awesome. All right. I just showed up late. I showed up late 6 times in a row, coaching a class. I'm your lead trainer. Fire me.
Stu, we appreciate all the time that you put in here. We haven't been able to show up to class 6 times, which is 5 more than we'd like. Actually, 6 more than we like. Thanks for all your time, but we're gonna cut ties at this point, and I wish you the best.
Everyone see how much foreplay he had to have before he gave me the "you're fired"? Finger blasted me for 10 minutes and then fired me. Okay? Thank you. It's not easy though. It's not easy. You like these people, right? It's not easy to fire someone. But if I'm going to come stand up here and tell you the team, the people you hire is how you're going to make whatever amount of zeros you want, then you also have to be equipped to fire. Who here has fired over 30 people as an owner of a franchise? They've fired over 30 people. Who here's been in business for over 5 years? Right, higher, please. You haven't fired at least 30 people? And when I say fire, everyone looks at it like this crazy, horrible thing. I'm not giving them cancer. I am just ending a very specific relationship with them. It's not the people you fire that make you miserable. It's the people you don't fire. I don't know who said it, but it's smart as fuck. Okay? Here's the concepts to make firing easier, because this is something I have to do every single week with a client, is make them understand ending relationships of any degree is natural, it's organic, and it's necessary. Anyone here have friends that they're just not friends with anymore? Right? You outgrew them. Wasn't that big of a deal. They're just not your friend anymore. It's not, you don't wish anything bad on them. Anyone ever hear me say, be emotional about the member, not the membership? That's so like you don't act like a little bitch when people cancel. I've always been a big fan of that. People who, if you like, well, no, I like him. He's a great member. 3 weeks later, cancels. Like, fuck that guy. Be emotional about the member, not the membership. Regardless if they have a membership or not, if you like the person, nothing should have changed. Same thing here. I like them. They're great. They just don't work for me anymore. It's natural. It's organic. Know that you provided every resource necessary for that successful relationship. And if you do this right, this is why I asked you guys, do you guys have like infraction meetings? Do you ever discipline anyone? Write it up, document it. When you do it right, no one is ever surprised that you're firing them. If someone's like truly surprised you're firing them, you fucked up. You've been dancing around it, not wanting to have the hard conversation. Then one day you just, lost your nerve. You ended up firing them when there should have been probably a process ahead of time. You maybe didn't have to fire them. You just had to have a hard conversation. Everyone wants to be the CEO, but nobody wants to have these hard conversations. So Adam already fired me. Real quick, these are just my real quick tidbits. I'm firing people because, again, I'm telling you, I promise you probably have one person in your organization that needs to go today. Giving you permission to do it. You need to. And this skill set of being able to cut that relationship, I don't see success in your future unless you develop it. You will forever be a fledgling location that is struggling to figure it out because you're afraid of having a hard conversation with somebody and leaning out your team. It's one of the hardest things to do as an owner. It sucks, but it's just a role. They're still a good person. You can still invite them to your holiday party. Yep.
What would you say to the owner, because I'm sure there are several in here, ourselves included in previous cases, where it's not necessarily the hard conversation that you have heartburn over, but it's about client reception because they fucking love Tina, and if you fire Tina, then, what's the blowback? And that's keeping them from hiring.
Yeah. You ever have a car, you ever sell your car? Most people make sure you get a car before they sell a car, right? You'll hear that like, don't break up with your girlfriend on the holidays, you get presents. Like, you'll get a new girl before. I would tell you, and that's the area. Truly, if you're like, I'm concerned this person has equity with the membership, and if I fire them, members will leave. Yes, it won't take you to zero. Will some leave? Sure. Are some going to leave anyway this month? Yeah, probably around 5 to 3% of them are probably going to leave anyway. So I would maybe hire the next person because you're probably good at attracting talent, bringing someone in. I mean, have you ever hired someone and just the membership hated them? Just hated them? Probably not. You guys are decent judges of character. Kirk gets on a call. He's like, this guy's going to be good. You guys have plenty of filters to make sure you're hiring the right people. I'd bring the replacement in, get them popular, and then let go of her or him or whoever it is. I would have their backup already there. I wouldn't move them, have a gap in the schedule, and then go hunting. Just be proactive with it. Find the replacement, get them to be a fan favorite, get them in classes, move the schedule around a little bit, whatever you need to manipulate and do. Members love that guy. Like, yeah, Tina's going to be like, yeah, but I fucking love Joe. He's hilarious. It'll make it a lot easier. Adam did a lot of this in the beginning. Don't do that. Don't do that. And here's why. It doesn't matter. You're not getting fired. You don't know what that feels like. You own the business, right? It sucks. They're not going to be happy about it. It sucks for you too. Make it quick, right? Hey, Adam, so come on into the office. All right, man. So today's your last day. I'm terminating you. Oh, okay. Again, he shouldn't be surprised, but if he is, let him know. Like, hey, we talked about this, man. If you're late for class, you know that's a fireable offense. You know I take that seriously. I got that 3-strike rule, right? 1, 2, 3. Well, this was the third time. You don't even have to say anything else. That's it. If you want to give him a referral or a reference, be like, listen, I'd be happy to give you a reference. You're a great coach. Just, you're not meeting the expectations of the role. And I just need someone who does. There's a lot to do here. And I can't be babysitting. I can't be worrying whether you're going to show up to class. A little script, you guys want this. ChatGPT did this, actually. Did a really good job. Don't do this part, though. Don't say that. But if you want it, this is literally, I'd ask ChatGPT how to, have a conversation and not sound like a bitch when you fire somebody, right? That's what I came up with. This is pretty good. I thought this was decent, okay? You have to get comfortable with this conversation. Now, we're not going to talk about it, but the thing before firing someone, developing them. Is anyone here that I shouldn't fire them. I actually just need to put more work into them? Does anyone know that they just have not put enough work into that person to get so they can meet the expectation? Raise your hand if you're just like, I got someone I'm working on. They're still a work in progress, right? I don't know what other priority you got. Like, if I think of my day and I'm looking at my Google Calendar and I time block, it would be get this person up to par. Because if I don't, again, you can bring as many members as you want, marketing and all that, but it's the most important thing is developing that individual. You need to look at your team. They're all going to have flaws. They're not going to be perfect. But if there's glaring holes just because you haven't spent enough time to sit down and go with them how to use the CRM, and that's why you're missing leads and you're pissed off on a Monday when you come in because they weren't reached out to. Anyway, allow questions, not debate. Always have a witness when you fire. Always just a smart thing to do. Always have a witness in there. But it's just a very matter-of-fact conversation, right? You ever promoted anybody? That's a fun conversation to have. But it was very matter-of-fact. Hey, guess what? You're now a lead trainer. Awesome. More pay. Cool. It's kind of like that, but the opposite. Hey, you know how you were a lead trainer? You're not anymore. You know how I paid you every month? I'm not going to do that anymore. All right. Well, have a good day. I mean, I know it's cold. I know it sucks. It's not an easy thing to do. And I go to a lot of these things. I never see people talk about the art of firing or accepting that human resources is the only thing. Like, nothing else matters if the team isn't rock solid. And if your team's not rock solid, keep recruiting. Why don't you have something out today? Because there's no reason. You're going to be in business for a long time. Why go into work knowing that someone sucks at something, but they're in charge of growing the membership? Or they're not as personal as you want, and they're in charge of the face of the business. They're the lead trainer. You don't have to accept that. You work so hard to carve out a piece of this fucking earth for yourself in your own business, and then you accept and provide exceptions when you have really high expectations, and there's no reason for that. So, guys, that's my thing. Thank you so much.